Nobody tells you this part. They tell you to grow, they tell you to do the work, they tell you to wake up, level up, be better. Nobody tells you what it costs. Nobody tells you that the moment you start to see yourself clearly, I mean really see yourself clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to who you were. And sometimes the people who loved who you were don't know what to do with the person you're becoming. That is the true curse of self-awareness. And today we're going to talk about it. Welcome to the First Hero Podcast. I'm Rich.
And I'm your host, Corey, co-host Corey, whatever.
and today we're going to be talking about self-awareness, the goods, the bads, everywhere in between. And for those of you listening that have done any amount of personal growth or had any amount of breakthrough in your life, you are going to appreciate this episode.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So listen up. This is a good topic, especially for girl dads. Self-awareness is really the building block for us girl dads to step into the greatest version of who our daughter needs as a father. And ultimately that version of a first hero, the standard that the first hero in your daughter's life represents. The superpower, if you will, at the center of you being a first hero in your daughter's life is awareness. And I truly believe that. I think it is the absolute core, the nucleus.
We share that sentiment.
Of everything beyond it. And so we're going to dive in because first, let's talk about what self-awareness actually is and what it's not, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions around this as well. It's clouded in this sometimes mystique.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive in. Now, self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly. And what I mean by that, it could be your patterns, it could be your triggers, your defaults, and more importantly, your impacts on others. Your actions and inputs have results. And just having a simple awareness of how all of these things are in sequence, we refer to it all the time like our blind spots.
Yep.
Self-awareness is the ongoing study of your blind spots. Now, some blind spots are blind spots for that reason. They're blind to us. But it's being in search mode, right? It's being in exploration mode of these things. And trying to understand impact. Usually where it shows up, right, is we see an impact that we had, whether it's positive or negative, and that can be a cue for us to start to rewind the clock and start to see, wait a minute, what created that, right? What results created that?
Yeah.
That's the pathway of self-awareness.
Yeah, 100%, man. I agree with you. It's the nucleus. It's without self-awareness, there's no growth, zero growth. And the definition of self-awareness for myself as a man is more visual. So I want you to envision yourself. You're standing in a room. Now I want you to envision yourself as a ghost, and you're a spirit, and you're floating up out of your body. And I want you to move yourself back away from your body. Your physical body is still standing in the middle of the room, and now you're a fly on the wall or a ghost on the wall, and you're watching yourself interact. Now self-awareness in and of itself is relatively inert. There's really no action you need to take other than becoming the observer. You're observing yourself inside of whatever dialogue, action, event, whatever, right? You're not labeling anything. You're not saying, hey, there's no shame, there's no grief, there's no guilt involved with that, because those are interpretations of meaning, and those are evaluations. That's not what self-awareness means, right? For you to be guilty. That's another layer that we can get into. But self-awareness is just becoming the observer, being a fly on the wall and watching yourself interact.
Yep. And I think that's a good segue into what it's not. I think a lot of people avoid, or there's this misillusion or delusion of what self-awareness is, and people avoid it maybe because they think that self-awareness means they have to shit on themselves. Right. There's a lot of shame and guilt and insecurity and anxiety tied to uncovering what they are, right? But the reality is that self-awareness first and foremost is just an unbiased look at the chessboard.
Yep. Of
where the pieces lay, right? That's the first step. Self-awareness doesn't have any action. It is, like you said, it's inert. It is just simply a viewpoint.
Yep.
And another thing that it's not is a destination. It's not a finish line, right? It's not an identity. I am self-aware. You are someone who exercises self-awareness.
It's a skill.
It's a skill. It is a habit. It's like, it would be similar to saying, I've gone to the gym, therefore I am fit, right? And it's like, well, you could have gone to the gym 10 years ago. That doesn't mean you're fit today. Same
Right.
thing with self-awareness. It is a constant thing. So something that it is not is a one-time thing. It is this is an action trait that should follow you for all of your fatherhood,
Yeah.
your whole life. You got girl dad. If you're a girl dad and you got girls, they deserve this trait to be part of your life forever.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Yep. And go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to add that so we can talk about some of the differences, right? The man who reacts versus the man who observes themselves reacting. You
Oh, yeah.
did it's a perfect visualization that Corey
Yep.
did. I haven't used that before.
Mhm.
I mean, I've done visualizations like that, but in the
Yeah.
capacity of awareness, dude, it's super, super helpful. It's a great visual to kind of see what it is. It's less about controlling. It's less awareness itself is less about controlling the reaction, but just simply observing yourself reacting so that you have
Right.
that audit of like, oh, I did do that.
Right. Right. It's that third party look at yourself. That's the best way. When I think of self awareness, that's the visualization I get in my head. But most of us weren't taught that. We
Yeah.
weren't taught to look inward. And I think self awareness by itself, again, it's relatively inert. I think paired with, and you can use these interchangeably, I think paired with the ability to reflect, I think those two are the ultimate powerhouse. Those are reflecting in the moment and then after the moment hindsight. I think those two paired together is the nucleus. Those are the two that's like, that is the seedling to growth, right?
Mhm.
Being able to see yourself as an observer and then ask questions like, was I too rough there? Was I too hard on that? Was I too easy? Was I too really becoming the investigator? Now you're moving from observer to investigator. Okay, now like how did I interact in that dialogue, right? Really reflecting on social cues, body cues, right? Verbal and nonverbal cues in the other listener, right? Because great communicators, they understand feedback is great communication, not what they say. So those two paired together are very important, and we're not taught that in school. Like I literally wasn't taught that in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like your teacher's like, okay, and now after our ABCs, we're gonna go sit in the corner and reflect on the last hour and think about ourselves in self awareness. I wasn't
Yeah.
taught that. I was actually taught self awareness at a very old age, like in my 30s, like early 30s. I literally fucking woke up. I was like, whoa. One day I was like, holy shit. Well, there may be mushrooms involved, but
I don't know if it was in your late 30s. It was probably in your
it
late
was
20s,
early 30s is
early
yeah.
30s.
And then that's when I'm like, holy shit. Like I just kind of woke up.
Yeah.
I pulled my head out of my ass. I'm like, okay, self-awareness. This is what it means.
You got to have something big too. If you're not already committed to self-awareness in the pursuit of it, I think it has to be something big. We talk about, if you're familiar with pain versus pleasure, it can be the avoidance of pain that guides you to self-awareness, or it can be the pursuit of pleasure. I would venture to guess for most of us, pain is a bigger motivator, so it could be rock bottom. I can speak from my experience. I became highly self-aware out of a devastating low. And that was in my mid 20s.
Yeah.
And dude, it completely pivoted my life, in a direction that today I'm living a version of my life that is so beyond my wildest dreams 10 years ago. I mean, seriously, dude, I have exceeded every level of what I would hope my life would be if you had asked me when I was 25. And it's all due to self-awareness. And self-awareness isn't about beating yourself up about who you've been in the past. It's truly about getting honest enough to choose who you're going to be in the future. And this is why this concept is so important for us dads, because let's face it, if you are here, if you're listening to this, you have an awakening. You understand that there's a better version of yourself, just like Corey and myself. We are men who are in pursuit of something. And we are aligning to be in pursuit of this version of a first hero for our daughters. And self-awareness, this is exactly why this is important, because we have to choose. We have to make a conscious decision who we're going to be in the future, whether we're going to be the first hero or whether we're going to choose to continue to hide under the rock of self-awareness and never open that box.
Yeah.
So if this is landing for you, hit that plus symbol. If you're listening on a podcast, and if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe, because we're going to continue to launch weekly episodes like this. And we're building a community of people and men and fathers and girl dads just like you. So make sure you subscribe or hit the plus button, depending on where you're listening. And we definitely want you in our community. There's also something powerful that we've been working on. If you're asking yourself, do I actually know what kind of father I am right now? You have to go take our Girl Dad quiz. It takes less than 5 minutes. It is an incredible quiz. It gives you a very detailed breakdown of different styles of fathering that each of us have. It is pretty comprehensive. It's going to give you a full detailed report. It'll cover your blind spots, your strengths, your weaknesses, the situations you execute really well in as a father, the situations you probably need some help in as a father, and it will help answer so many questions for you that you're probably going through in your head right now, which is why you landed on this podcast. So go grab that. It's in our description. It's in the show notes. Go grab that. You'll thank me later. So next, let's talk about the gifts of self-awareness, because there are quite a few gifts of being self-aware, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, quite a few gifts. I mean, it puts you, again, like we just talked about, it's the nucleus. Like it is the seed in the soil that sprouts the flower, the roots, the flower, everything. It's it's at the center, because without being self-aware and the skill set of being reflective, you are not in a learning state. You are just drifting. You are floating through life, bumping into people, things happening to you, not for you. You're reacting, you're not responding. And it's honestly a miserable place to be. A miserable place to be. It was a miserable place for me, and most likely for you, Rich, in my 20s and late 20s. And if you're a girl dad and this is you, I can only imagine is amplified, because you're feeling the pain of disconnection with your daughter.
Yeah. No, it was, man. And when I found self-awareness, and I truly found it, meaning I could stand in it objectively,
Right.
and just view myself, and able to shed all of the judgment of myself and sit in the in
the pain.
It was almost separating the pain from being willing to be aware. Dude, there was an incredible enlightening that happened where I felt 1,000,000 pounds off my shoulders, because it wasn't that anything was solved. It was just that I could see myself.
You woke up.
I woke up, and I realized that all of the things that I was doing, they didn't define me.
Yeah.
Right? And so now all of a sudden I had separated what the actions were from the human being.
Behavior from identity.
Behavior from identity.
Yeah.
And that was a really powerful thing, dude. It just gave me this huge confidence booster of like, okay, dude, I've been acting broken, but that doesn't mean I'm broken.
Love it, dude.
Right? And so for us dads, dude, there's so much of our past wiring that we know the moments that we don't show up at our best. We know the moments that fucking haunt us at night when we react a certain way, or we say a certain thing, or we discipline a certain way. And those hurt, dude. Those are the things that are the heaviest weights that I have to carry on my mind, are the mistakes that I make with my daughters. And if you're anything like us, you know what I'm talking about. Those are the ones that you go, the last thought you go to bed with, the first thought you wake up in the morning with, the thought you can't shake at lunch, when you're in the middle of an important meeting or conversation, when you have a moment, this thought comes back into your mind. And the awareness is the only way that you're going to be able to wrestle that. And so it truly is a gift, because right on the other side of just of very objective awareness of actions that you're taking is this huge empowerment of, oh, I can do something about that.
Exactly.
I can fix it.
Yep.
Right? I can separate the two. I'm not viral.
It doesn't define me.
Right? It doesn't define me. I can still save myself, and therefore the people that depend on me, like my daughter.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Your behavior does not define you, right? They're two separate things. And once you see that in yourself and even your daughter, like that's when you grow.
Yeah.
That's when you say, I am a blank. I am a hero to my daughter. And then you can start doing the things that it takes to be a hero. You can flip the switch that fast. When you're stuck in this story, negative feedback loop of I am this person because I did this thing, you're never going to grow. You're never going to change. That's not being self-aware. Being self-aware, you're able to look at yourself, separate your behavior from identity, and say, hey, this is not the person I am. Therefore, this person that I am does this sort of behavior. I'm going to start doing that now.
Yeah.
And you can shed the guilt, the shame, the pain, and you can learn from it. because you're going to be reflective now, right? You're a hero. You're gonna reflect on all that pain and suffering, guilt, and you're gonna learn from it because you're awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, I have to talk directly to the dads. If you're watching this, you can look me right in the eyes. But dad, listen up. How cool is it to envision your daughter having a relationship with this, where she has learned from you one of the most critical skills that will stay with her for the rest of her life? It will make her unshakable. It will build her confidence. It will make her show up in situations, and people in the room observing her will think, holy shit, who parented this girl?
Right.
She is incredible. She is a force to be reckoned with. This skill set of being able to separate her actions from her identity is the key, right? It's because she's going to make mistakes, and she's going to be given the gift of self-awareness so that she can observe those mistakes unbiasedly, and she can separate the wholesome goodness of who she is and will always be from the actions that she took in that particular moment. And by giving her that gift, you are setting your daughter up for something that is legacy, my friend.
Legacy. Yeah,
That's legacy. That's the thing that will outlive you. And on your deathbed, you will be thanking your lucky stars that you listened to that podcast and that you were introduced to this idea.
Yep.
So keep it moving. Let's talk about the curse.
Yeah, there's a downside to self-awareness that we don't really talk about either.
Yeah, let's talk about the curse. I mean, as you raise your standard, the gap between you and the people who aren't growing, that gap widens.
Yeah.
And it is indiscriminate on who it impacts. It could be parents, siblings, best friends, spouses, right?
Yeah.
It could even be adult children or children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we this is the curse, because sometimes it can feel like there's a chasm that we have to cross, and like, how do you get people across, right? Or how do you bridge that gap?
Yeah.
And I don't know that I have that solved either, guys. I'll be 100% honest with you. I've felt this big time. And for those of you listening who have done some big self work and been on a mission to better yourselves, you guys have probably felt it too.
Yeah. I mean, you've felt it at some capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
You felt it. I mean, do you still have the same friends that you had with your 20s? Yes, I do. But I also have a lot of friends that I don't have anymore.
Yeah. And things change too.
Yeah.
You felt it to some capacity for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's not being like arrogant. Like, you're not being like, I'm better than you for being more self-aware. It's just reality. You're like, okay, well, things changed a little bit. My needs are a little different in relationships, and they just can't fulfill those needs. And that's okay. They're still them. Yeah.
And you just simply start to have different interests.
Yeah. You typically want to go deeper, like in conversations that really I love. Like, that's why you and I, it's so organic for us to do this, because you and I had those deep conversations for years that we couldn't really get elsewhere.
Yep.
You know,
it was where we ended up every conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good cue, dude. I think that when my tolerance for surface level conversations and like, how's the weather type of conversations started to go downhill quick, dude. My tolerance used to be so big for just bullshit bar conversations versus like what I mean by like, you're bullshitting at the bar type conversations. My capacity for that used to be so big. My tolerance for that used to be so big.
We sought it. We went after it. Like, I want to go to the bar and have those dumb bullshit bar moments.
Yeah, and think we're solving world problems when in reality we don't remember what the hell we were talking about the next day, and we're hungover, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, now the tolerance is it's so small, bro.
Yeah.
So small. Like, if you're not willing to go deeper to a deeper level of conversation in the first, if I'm just meeting you and you're not willing to go deeper in conversation in the first 5 minutes, like I'm respectfully like, great to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head out.
I don't think I'm that. I don't think I'm that intense.
I definitely tend to be that.
Really?
Way. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I can definitely feel that. And there is some sort of grief to that too, man. Like I'm fortunate, like, dude, like I can turn it off and on. Like with a lot of my friends, I can go and sack tap with the boys and bullshit, and still have fun. And then I have my relationships where that go just a little deeper, like the ones that, the one that you and I share.
Yeah.
Right? We can go deep. We can go so deep. I mean, obviously, how deep we're going with these podcasts. But there is some sort of grief you know, when you kind of realize, and it's funny because at a young age, I've always thought like, I always had this like thought, I'll share a quick story. You know, I always thought like, who was the first like caveman that like really just like became conscious and aware, you know?
That poor
Like,
bastard.
like how
Can you imagine
alone,
how alone he
how
felt?
alone, dude? Did you just like, fuck, I'm the leader of a bunch of idiots. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? I always thought about that and put myself in that position. I'm like, what a lonely life. Or he was, you know, having a great time, just manipulating everybody. Who knows?
Exactly, dude. Who can I talk to?
Right,
What
like,
do I do
fuck.
with this information? For
Yeah.
sure. I want to share a quick story because I know how important this curse can be, or how prevalent it can be.
Yeah.
Talking about relationships. Like there was in the last couple of years, I experienced something with with someone very, very close to me, a very, very close family member, where we, because of my self-awareness and just an effort to improve myself and the way I operate in my own life, I as a byproduct, I started to recognize patterns, not only patterns within myself, but patterns of the people around me. And I started to recognize that boundaries were needed to protect other people. I'm specifically talking about someone who had an extreme proximity in my life to me and to my little girls. And when I recognized that there was a pattern that this person brought into my life that was completely wired into my mind from a very early age as being acceptable, and I had never audited it, I had never shown the light of awareness on it, and I saw the pattern for the first time about 2 years ago, and I just had an awareness around it for the first time, dude, my whole world blew up. And not necessarily in a good way. Of course, there is some good that came out of it, just in terms of the awareness. But it has completely divided us now, and I'm hopeful that it's a temporary divide. But ultimately, what happened was I was forced to choose between allowing the same pattern to affect me, but more importantly, allowing it to affect my little girls, and create the same negative feedback loop for my little girls that and the negative emotional loop that it created for me. And I, as their father and as their protector, as their first hero, I either could allow that to then be passed on to them and allow no boundary, or it was time to set a boundary, a new boundary, and hold it. And that was a super, super, super fucking difficult thing to do. Super difficult thing. Someone in my life that is as close as you could possibly imagine, and I had to set a new boundary. And that boundary was set by me and held by me, and the response from the other person was not positive. And therefore, they elected to remove themselves from my life and my little girl's life, which was really, really, really harmful to everyone, including them. But it was out of a sheer place of being unwilling, to, first on my part, being unwilling to allow that pattern to continue for the people that I am set on this world to protect from the things that I am aware of. And from that person's perspective, they decided to remove themselves from our life because their pain of facing who they are was greater than the pain of losing us.
Yeah.
And that's fucking crazy.
And how awesome is that your daughter gets to watch a man, you, choose growth over comfort, over what's easy, what's comfortable, right? That's the most powerful lesson you can teach your daughter. At some age, she's going to understand and be like, holy shit, Dad, you just set this boundary out of love, not out of judgment or spite. You set this boundary and you held it. Wow. To this person who's so dear and important, like, Dad, that's crazy. How did you do that? And that's going to, dude, that like gives me goosebumps because I know the situation, and it's like, dude, you're like, I remember watching you go through it. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, it had an impact on me.
It's hard, guys. And I can only hope and pray that one day when I have to answer for my actions in this whole thing to my daughters, assuming that this pattern, that us being separate from this person continues for a long time. I hope that it
Yeah.
doesn't. I hope that it doesn't. But I am also prepared for that outcome. If that were to be the outcome, I'm gonna have to answer for it someday.
Yeah.
And I can only pray that my actions that I take on a weekly basis to continue to reach out to that person and
Yep.
remind them that I love them unconditionally, and that the love that I have for them isn't subjected to any version of themselves. However, the boundary and the awareness that they have around their impact to our family is the precursor that starts the conversation of us all being whole again. That door is always open. And that's the only thing I can think of is like
Yeah.
over time, if I were to look back over my lifetime and if this gap remains when I die, or when I eventually have to answer to my daughters as to why this person never was in our life anymore, I have to be proud of my actions.
Yeah.
And so my actions have been exactly that. They have been to remind this person that I love them, that I appreciate them, that I do have a lot of respect, that I'm inviting them back into our life, and that we have a new set of standards that all of us need to operate from
Yeah.
in order to be a whole, healthy family, in a version of our family that we've never had before.
Yeah. And that's the curse that becomes the gift. That's the curse that becomes the gift, because
Yep.
most men, like, there was a cost to that, Rich. And the cost was heavy that you were willing to pay to protect your daughter, right? Most men, they stay comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Most girl dads stay comfortable, and they're not willing to pay the cost. They're not willing to take that curse, that burden, to give the gift to their daughters, right? They never break that cycle, and they keep passing it down.
Yep.
That's the severity that we want. Hopefully that landed with you,
Yep.
right? The curse of self-awareness is the greatest gift you can give not only yourself, but your daughter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's jump into the hot take.
Yeah, let's do it.
So if you don't know, if the first time listening, this is an opportunity where I've got a quote for Corey. He's never seen or been exposed. Maybe he's been exposed to, but he doesn't know what I'm about to drop on him. He's going to give us his very intentional thought process as he works through it. So here it is. You ready?
Let's go.
The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.
Yeah. Yeah. So Carl Jung said, I'll answer that with another quote. And I'm going to
Don't do that to us.
Carl Jung said, you really become who you are after the age of 40. And I really think, I see, he says that because you really wake up and you learn that ego is the enemy. Not enemy. It's the ego is no longer serving you, and you wake up and say, okay, I can really become the person I am, because up until the age of 40, or it could be subjective, up until the time I wake up and be conscious, I've building my ego. I've been perfecting my ego, chasing this, chasing that, and then once you wake up, you're like, oh wow, I really need to unbecome who I was to become who I'm supposed to be. And that's a rare gift that most people don't really get in this life. And I'm so glad that I was able to get that self-awareness and say, okay, the accolades I was chasing was coming from my egoic self, not my ideal self. My ideal self coming from a whole, right? Not coming from a whole versus a whole self.
Yeah.
A whole, like a hole in the ground versus a hole in the self. A whole self.
Love it.
Right? That's my take.
I love it, dude. Self-awareness is not a burden you have to carry alone. It's a lantern you can carry for your daughter so that she can see the light. The man who knows himself is the man she can trust. The man who does the work is the man she will remember. You didn't wake up by accident. You woke up because she needs you. She needs a first hero. If this episode hit you and you felt seen in the cost of your own growth, you're one of us. You're a cycle breaker, a man who's choosing awareness over comfort, a father who refuses to pass his wounds down to his daughter. Go take the Girl Dad quiz, find out exactly what type of father you are, and join our community of like-minded fathers who are in pursuit of a better version and ultimately becoming a first hero for their little girls. As a reminder, distraction is the enemy, breaking the cycle is your duty, and legacy is the only thing that we get to leave behind. You are one decision away from becoming the hero your daughter deserves.